Hi there, Wellness Challenge participants. We're so happy to have you on board, and we're really looking forward to supporting you and achieving your health-related goals in 2025 and beyond. My name is Emily Perryman. I'm a registered dietitian and the founder of Nature's Wellness Path, a nutrition counseling practice geared toward guiding individuals on their wellness journey. I'm really excited about all the challenges that the Urban Life Center is offering, but especially this month's challenge of trying 2 to 3 plant-based meals or snacks per week. So let's dive in. I'm going to just share my screen so you can see the slides for the webinar. So just give me one moment to pull that up and we'll get started. Alrighty, so here we go. So what is a plant-based diet? A plant-based diet is composed of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, plant-derived substitutes, grains, and legumes. So our lentils, beans, peas, and whole or minimally processed soy foods. What does it not usually have? Meat, eggs, fish, butter, milk, and other dairy products, or gelatin. So what do some of our whole plant foods look like? Those are our fruits, whole grains, starchy veggies like potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, winter squash. We have our non-starchy veggies, legumes, nuts and seeds, and herbs and spices. Then we have our plant-derived substitutes, which I'm sure of you have seen in the stores, like the veggie burgers or the meatless sausages. There's also plenty of options for non-dairy milks, yogurts, cheeses, and ice creams. Now, these products can tend to be more expensive and processed than our whole or minimally plant-based foods, but they can still be enjoyed if desired. What I've found a lot of people enjoy, myself included, is making some of these options at home. For example, soy milk or bean burgers or cheese sauces that we can enjoy over pasta or different whole grains or over a baked potato. And now, in terms of plant-based eating health benefits, we have increased longevity, we have lowered blood pressure and cholesterol. We have that it is the most sustainable and effective way to lose weight and maintain that weight loss, improve blood sugars, prevent and reverse chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease, reduce risk of certain cancers. We see improvements in gut health and reductions in joint pain and lowered inflammation. This is just a short list, so there's many, many more. Also, we're able to feed more people when we eat more plants. We're eating the plants directly instead of the animals eating the plants and then us eating the animals, which is less efficient. We save money. Those who eat plant-based or more plants spend 34 to 40% less on groceries. Also, there's huge savings on healthcare costs. Now, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, I'm not sure if we're familiar with this, but this is such a neat tool that can be used to really guide our choices to make the best possible choices to enhance longevity and improve overall health. So you can see here there's 10 different types of food or categories of food as well as beverages. So this would include predominantly water and then some unsweetened tea like green or hibiscus, and then our daily dose of exercise. And this is a free app that can be downloaded where you would just check off the minimum servings per day that are recommended. Of course, you can always do more. So why are the daily dozen foods so healthy? Well, they are whole or minimally processed plant foods. So they're going to be high in fiber, whereas animal foods have no fiber. They're going to have no cholesterol. For the most part, they're going to be low in fat, low in calorie density, and high in antioxidants. In terms of fiber, again, found only naturally in plant foods. So many benefits to fiber you can see in terms of weight loss, heart health, gut health, fighting inflammation, regulating blood sugars, boosting brain power, reducing digestive diseases, helps keep you regular, and protects against cancer. So we really want to optimize our intake of fiber. And where do we get fiber? Plants. So now moving on to the fat and cholesterol aspect for heart health, especially, but also for brain health. We see that our animal products here, chicken and salmon, contain fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol, and no fiber, whereas our beans contain very little fat, no saturated, no cholesterol, and lots of dietary fiber. In terms of weight loss, we look at calorie density. That's just the calories that are found in a pound of food. Most of our plant-based foods in their whole form are going to have very few calories per pound compared to our animal products, our more processed foods, and our oils. The exception are nuts and seeds. So we would just want to consume these in a more moderate amount, about a quarter cup if we're doing nuts or seeds. If we're looking to lose or maintain weight, of course, we can have more if that is not a goal. Now, in terms of antioxidants, plant-based foods tend to have 64 times more antioxidants than animal products. And that's going to be really helpful for fighting cancer and helping vision and skin. So, how can we eat more of these plants? We just saw some of the many benefits. So, let's dive into how we can go plant based or how we can learn to eat more whole or minimally processed plants. So, we have a couple approaches. And what I would encourage everyone is if you're not already plant based, but you're curious to try, just to explore the different ways to see what might work best for you. So let's go into those. We have our meal by meal makeover, and this is based on a great resource called the Forks Over Knives Plan. I highly recommend checking it out. Most libraries have it. So step one would be where you explore plant-based options for meals and snacks that you would like to try, and I'll discuss that a little further in one of the videos. Step two would be from that list that you came up with, make your breakfast and snacks plant-based. Trial that out for a couple weeks or 1 week, depending on the amount of time you think you need. And once you're comfortable with that, you can move on to making your lunches plant-based and then finally dinner. So that's one approach. Another one is to shift your focus to plant foods gradually. So step one could be cutting out dairy and processed foods and replacing with more plant-based foods. Step two, cut out fish, eggs, and meat, replace with more plant-based foods. And then step three, you can see cut out or greatly reduce oil and foods containing such, and utilizing oil-free cooking tips. So this is based on the Engine 2 Diet book by Rip Esselstyn. He saw really great results, tremendous in cholesterol, lowering blood sugars, blood pressure, and weight among participants that he ran this 28-day program with. So, thinking of favorite meals and snacks that are already plant-based could be a good start. So you can see some ideas here. And then thinking of your favorite meals and snacks that therefore can be modified to make them plant-based. So you can see here with the toast, switching the spread. You can see here with the chili going from a beef or ground turkey chili to a bean-based one, a stir fry switching from chicken or turkey to in this case, it's tofu, but it could be edamame or chickpeas or tempeh. And then switching from a butter-rich popcorn to air pop with some fun seasonings, including nutritional yeast, aka Nooch, delicious. And lastly, thinking of plant-based meals and snacks to try. So maybe you're just seeing this recipe over and over again for baked oatmeal and you can't wait to try it. Well, here's a perfect opportunity. And we will have recipes posted in the Facebook group. So feel free to check those out. And I'll be sharing some resources for recipes as well. Now, let's remember to focus on progress, not perfection, giving ourselves grace and kindness as we're going on our wellness journey. So, in terms of nutritional adequacy, just keeping in mind that whole or minimally processed plants are the most nutrient dense foods. A common question that comes up when we're eating more plants or a plant based diet is, where do you get your protein? Fear not, all plants have protein, just in varying amounts. But this table will show some of the more protein-rich plant-based foods, but you can see vegetables, even things that we tend to think of as starchier, like potatoes or yams, have a good amount of protein. A lot of our whole grains, nuts and seeds, but really our superstars for protein and other nutrients like fiber, iron, zinc are our legumes. You can take a look there. And then the newer, I should say, protein and nutrient kit on the block are soy curls. So tasty and versatile and healthy, very minimally processed. They are the whole soybean, so they're going to have all the benefits of the whole soybean. And you can just make them in so many delicious ways like you see here. And this is just a small sample. Now, vitamin B12 is the only nutrient that natural plant-based foods lack, and that's because B12 is made by bacteria and it is removed when our produce is washed. It's only in some animal products due to contact with soil that the animals have when they're in the feedlots or when they are grazing. So everyone needs a regular source of B12. It's especially important for those eating a plant-based diet, anyone over 50, as we lose our ability to absorb B12 as we get a bit older, anyone who's had bariatric surgery or taking meds that inhibit B12 absorption. Dr. Greger has some great recommendations for B12 with different doses, but always keep in mind what your blood work shows and also your healthcare provider's suggestions or recommendations. And the vitamin D, it's often recommended no matter what type of dietary pattern we follow. We fall into this yellow bar here in terms of latitude. So in certain months, mostly in the winter, we are not able to get adequate sunlight to get vitamin D. So it is suggested to supplement. But other times of the year, we can get some midday sun, 15 minutes for those with lighter skin, 30 minutes for those with darker skin, and we can get some vitamin D that way. And again, using your lab work and healthcare provider suggestions to adjust your dose. If you're low, you might need a higher dose for a short time until that's brought back up to normal levels. So a little bit more on vitamin D. D3 tends to be the preferred form. We like to ideally take our supplement with the largest meal of the day to improve absorption. And if we have a bit of excess weight, we might want to take a higher maintenance dose to make sure we're getting the full benefit. And then moving on to calcium, this is a big one that comes up. If I'm not drinking milk or eating dairy products, where am I going to get my calcium? Well, the cow eats grass. The grass um, absorbs calcium from the soil, so we can get it straight from the source. Not that we're eating the grass, but we are eating other foods that are grown in soil, other plant-based foods. So you can see here a wide range of foods, but really our beans, especially our white beans like navy, great northern, and cannellini are super amazing sources for calcium. And then many of our greens, with the exception of spinach, beet greens, and Swiss chard, which tend to be higher in calcium oxalate, so they are not as easily absorbed in terms of calcium. But things like collards and kale and bok choy and broccoli are all really great sources of calcium, as well as some of our fortified non-dairy milks and then our nuts and seeds. And then we have our omega-3 fatty acids. If we're not choosing to consume fish, which we don't need to, and actually we're able to eliminate a pretty significant source of cholesterol and saturated fat and pollutants, we can get omega-3s in the form of alpha-linolenic acid from many plant-based foods, with really the optimal choices being chia and grinding them if possible, ground flaxseed, whether we buy it whole or as flaxseed meal, walnuts. We can enjoy all of these foods in a salad or in our oatmeal, and these are the optimal amounts. Some people decide to supplement, and there are algae-based supplements of the long-chain fatty acids, DHA and EPA. And omega-3 fatty acids are really important for fighting inflammation and improving heart and brain health. So we do want to make sure we get a consistent source of these. Now, moving on to meal planning. So, I think it's very important to make sure that we have a plan in place no matter what we're doing, whether it's starting a new exercise routine or working in a more healthful diet. We just really want to have a good structure so we can stick to it. So, I think that's really where the meal planning and prep comes in. So, one approach to meal prepping is to batch cook or prep ingredients for meals. That way, you can mix and match throughout the week to have different options. So, this could look like making a batch of black beans in the Instapot or on the stove and seasoning them, or opening up a couple cans of them and seasoning them how you like. And then having a starch available, whether it's some quinoa, brown rice, farro, or maybe you roast up some sweet potatoes to have some fruits and veggies on hand that are washed and ready to go. As long as they are not going to be sitting too long, they should be fine for several days. And then some dressings or sauces to jazz up the meal. Another approach would be to make a few batches of your favorite recipes. You can always double or triple so you have more leftovers. You can portion into individual containers so that when you're ready to have your lunch, for example, if you pack to go to work or school, all you have to do is reheat it. You can also vary the way you enjoy your leftovers so they don't get boring. So you can see that with the chili here, enjoyed in different ways. And then another way of doing this would just be to have a hybrid. So you can do a combination of both approaches. Maybe it's easier for lunch to kind of have those different components of a meal ready to go, and you can put them together into like a nice Buddha bowl or into tacos. But dinner, when you're sitting down with your family, it might be more ideal to have a batch of a stir fry made or chili or pasta, something like that. And then when we think of meal prep, we also want to keep in mind snacks, so snack prep. That way, if we are snacking, we have healthy options available. We're not tempted to stop at a vending machine if we're at work or school or at a convenience store where there's likely much, much more expensive options and not as healthful. So we'll discuss some snacks a little later on, but just keeping that in mind as well. If you're one who tends to get hungry in between meals, it can be good to plan accordingly. And a meal prep suggestion would be not to be afraid to use some of these shortcut ingredients that are still healthy. So we have things like frozen fruits and vegetables, pre-washed greens, shredded and washed carrots or cabbage. And then we have some frozen grains like quinoa or brown rice, or these blends that might have a whole grain, some beans and veggies. We just want to read the labels and make sure they're not real heavy and sauces that could add oil, added sugars, or sodium. So just keep an eye on that. But many of these options are going to be very minimally processed and still very healthy. So things like canned beans or steamed lentils. Now, the extra fun part, because I think it's all fun, is the meal and snack ideas. So breakfast, a breakfast superstar would be oats, and I'm always amazed at how many different ways we can enjoy oatmeal. So here's just a small sample. You can take a look there. Also, if you like a chewier type of oat, there's steel cut oats, which are really great. And if you're one who likes pancakes, waffles, or French toast, you can still enjoy them in a healthy plant-based diet. We can top them with fruit or a little bit of nut butter. And there's just so many options using different whole grain flours and using non-dairy milk, and often using flax or chia for the egg instead of the typical egg. So lots of really fun and tasty ways to still enjoy these breakfast foods. And then we have smoothies. So this kind of goes through the ingredients and kind of the process to make a really tasty and nourishing smoothie. And then we have our savory breakfast. So things like tofu scramble, tempeh bacon, chickpea frittata. So you can see some really nice savory options as well, which could also be enjoyed for any time of day, really. Now, going back to Dr. Greger, he did develop this plate based on his daily dozen. So you can see here, he recommends at least half a plate of what we call our non-starchy veggies. So our greens, our cruciferous, or the other veggie category that he has in his daily dozen, a quarter plate of a starch like whole grains or a starchy veggie, and then our beans or other legume. So I know a lot of times our meals might be mixed, like with a soup or stew, but just keep in mind that we do want to get a lot of those vegetables in. And then, of course, we can enjoy fruits as a snack or as a little dessert. And we also can incorporate in some nuts and seeds, our flaxseed, and our spices. So we'll go through, for example, Buddha bowls. If you've ever been to Kava or Nali Fresh, that's kind of this idea, but you can always make them at home. So you have a little bit more control over the ingredients and over the expense. So look at all the bright colored vegetables and beans and even the fruits, like with the blueberries and pomegranates. So this is like a really fun way to get in a lot of nutrients, a lot of flavors, and a lot of variety. And then we have our salad. You can see it's more than just lettuce and cucumbers. There's delicious chickpea salads that if you used to like chicken salad, this is a great option. It's loaded with fiber and flavor and other nutrients. We have our soups and stews, so many options there. This is just a small sample. Mexican food, lots of good options with tacos and quesadillas and bean and rice bowls. Our Indian cuisine with curries and dals and potato chickpea dishes. We have our Asian cuisine, so our stir fries with that lovely soy curl option there, veggie lo mein, edamame, and veggie unfried rice. Our Italian delights, which I absolutely love being Italian, so it's nice to know I can still enjoy amazing options that are make me feel much better, not loaded down after like a cheesy Alfredo, and really fun to make because they use a lot of fun plant-based foods. And then our American classics, a good old mac and cheese, shepherd's pie, sloppy joes, a barbecue loaf, veggie burgers. These are great to make a batch or two. They freeze well. You can enjoy them over a salad or in a whole grain bun or pita. So really tasty options there with your favorite toppings, sandwiches and wraps. So that tempeh lettuce tomato sandwich, hummus and veggies is always a nice one. Falafel and a pita with some veggies and a sauce. Moving on to snacks, so lots of options for savory snacks, things like tortilla chips that, we can just buy the corn tortillas, cut them into triangles. We can choose to do any seasonings we'd like. And if we want to help the seasoning stick, we can use a little lemon or a lime juice and put them in the oven or an air fryer. That's a great crunchy snack. Roasted chickpeas, air pop popcorn, homemade hummus with wheat pita or veggies. And then, of course, we have some store-bought options for savory snacks that you may have seen at some of the stores, like the bean-based ones, like roasted chickpeas, bada bean, bada boom, the dry roasted edamame, or our nuts, preferably raw or those without a lot of salt or oils added. So that's why the raw is nice. And then, of course, we can buy hummus and enjoy it with some veggies or pita. And then our sweet treats, good old fruit, especially as we're moving into the warmer months, a lot more will be coming into season. We have nice cream, so this is a delicious treat made from frozen bananas and non-dairy milk. And then, of course, you can add in your favorite additions like cocoa powder, peanut butter, strawberries. It's really delicious. Banana cookies, dessert hummus, carrot cake cupcakes with a nice cashew frosting, a banana bread. So there's so many options. These are just a small sample. And then some store-bought options like freeze-dried fruit. I know a lot of people enjoy are these bars made from just dates and nuts, for example. And then there's some lower sugar cereals that are also sometimes enjoyed with some non-dairy milk and fruit for a snack. And then if you're looking for a more substantial snack, something like these plant-based waffles could be an option. Now, here's just a small sample of some really great online resources for recipes and some YouTube channels that I encourage you to check out if you would like. And then I would urge you, if you haven't already, to check out what your library has. There's so many wonderful plant-based cookbooks that can really give you some good ideas to get your creativity flowing. Some more here. And also, if you are curious to learn more about plant-based eating, there's some wonderful podcasts. These just are two of the many out there, but Plant Strong and Exam Room, really great information. And then many documentaries, some that are screening or streaming for free. And then some really great beginner's guides that can be helpful. And then some online resources for tips, recipes, and more. And then there's a wonderful app called Happy Cow. It's also a website where you are searching for vegetarian, vegan, or veg-friendly restaurants in a certain zip code. So if you're traveling or if you're just curious to know what might be in your area, it's a really good guide in that regard. And then anytime we're embarking on a wellness journey, it's really helpful to have support. That's why we're extremely happy to be here to support you on your journey. but also seeing if family members and or friends are on board. That way it makes it a little easier when you're home. Also, there's a lot of meetup groups that have wonderful events both in person and online. Of course, you can join the Urban Life Center for other events. There's many Facebook groups that are plant-based where people share recipes and pictures and ideas and tips and post questions. So it's really great. I'm a member of many of them, and they are really wonderful and supportive. And then there's different membership options for online opportunities for support. Some are very low cost. There's a couple free ones as well. So if you're interested, those are there. And then I just wanted to thank you for your time and attention. And please feel free to reach out to my email here if you have any questions or concerns, or if you're looking for additional support on your wellness journey. I'm happy to be your guide and your cheerleader. And thank you so much and take good care.